was one of those things where James did such a beautiful job of creating a family on and off screen. He brought us together. He built this the start of this new DCU family, which we feel very honored to be a part of. And James also creates a family out of his sets wherever he goes. We got to be the new kids on the block in this very well-oiled machine that he's taken with him from project to project. And he brought such energy and passion and love for these characters and this material, and that trickled down. It just made us all want to come to work every day and keep doing better day after day. It was a blast. And I hope that shows on screen.
My favorite thing is when Superman saves the girl from the gas tanks being thrown at, the big slow motion shot. I love that shot. That's super cool.
My favorite thing, I think, was I got to see the film, and it made me feel like I did when I was like in the cinema when I was like 10 years old, having some of those like formative experiences with going to the theater to watch movies, where I was completely transported, and it was magical, and it uplifted me in such a wonderful way that when I walked out of the film, I just felt so happy to be, sounds weird, but human and alive and surrounded by such wonderful people that we made the film with, but also to just go out and it inspires goodness. So I'm excited by what the movie represents, and I'm also excited to share the movie with like my kids and a new generation.
I don't know that it is, except insofar as they're technically the same person. I think one fun thing about our film is it doesn't really fully explore Clark Kent as a journalist. You certainly see some of Clark at the Daily Planet, and the question of him giving sort of softball interviews to Superman and writing very glowing pieces about him is, it brings up some ethical questions.
Journalistic integrity.
But in the comics, especially in All-Star Superman, there are all these great long sequences where Clark is Clark, and he's doing his reporting, and he's chasing down the stories and trying to exert a little bit of good influence in the world as the character of Clark. And it'd be really fun to get to explore that a little more in future films.
I think she's an everyday superhero. I think while Clark has super strength and heat vision and can fly, she has the power of the pen, and she has the ability to move the needle in the world that she lives in. I think one of the things I appreciate about James's take on this material is, and he expressed this to me very early on, that he was really interested in exploring Lois's power and necessity as a journalist, in recognizing the importance of a free and fair press, and somebody who will sometimes quite literally go to the ends of the earth for the things that she believes in. I think we all feel like that has always felt important, but perhaps never more important than right now.
I was very lucky where James had written a really dynamic, shaded character on the page, and that was what was exciting to me when first reading the script. I looked at it and I went, okay, even if you're not a comic book fan or particularly a Superman fan, you have this idea of what a villain is and the evil they portray, and Lex Luthor perhaps. So it was exciting for me to look at the blueprint of his script and talk to James about that, and then go back and research comics and the history of Lex and be like, okay, well, what else can we mine and learn here that we can add to this character to present something slightly different in this movie that still services the story. So that was something really enjoyable to develop with James. Yeah.
Kind of like working with a kid in not a candy shop, but like a comic book store or a toy shop. He has such love and joy and gratitude to be doing what he's doing, and he works so hard, but mostly because he loves it and he wants it to be good, and he gets such a kick out of all of the things that we get to do, the sets and the creatures and the props and the robots and the costumes. He just very often is lighting up with that boyish wonder, and that energy is infectious and makes the whole process feel much more like making a movie with your friends in your backyard than working on one of the biggest films of the year and a tentpole blockbuster.
It was probably my first 2 days on set when we shot the interview scene together. It was a scene that we'd all lived with for quite some time at that point. It was a scene that, we auditioned with in our living rooms with our real life partners, and then got to chemistry read with together, and then spent the next, you said about 8 months thinking about and talking about and trying to, it felt like it showed all the different colors of who these two characters were. And so not only was it a really fun way to dig into these characters and explore them so deeply over the course of those 2 days. But it was also so inspiring to watch James have a really clear vision for what the scene was to look like, but also to make space for us as actors, to make space for our thoughts and feelings about what was going on, and to try things. And I think that sense of wonder and joy, and also James being the hardest working person on set at any given moment, really inspires everybody else to keep raising the bar for themselves. And that was just the beginning. And so it was really exciting to be like shot out of a rocket on this journey.
One thing I loved about working with James, aside from just him being a brilliant writer that gives you really fun dialogue to play with, is his honesty. Fairly early on when we were rehearsing and stuff, I went and sat with him and spoke about the character and the scenes, and then we kind of went and did like a rehearsal, just him and I, so we could workshop some scenes and figure some stuff out for the character. And that was great, because I really felt in that moment that I was getting like honest, raw feedback that meant that we could push the character and develop it better and deliver what he wanted for the film. So that was a great thing, first of all, because I was like, okay, I trust this guy. I love his movies that he's made previously, but now I know he's like here with me and like really going to push me. And then also his warmth. There was a scene later on in the movie where we did something that was described in the stage directions, I suppose. And after we did the shot, and James came in with a big grin on his face and gave me a hug and was like, that was it, and like just really overjoyed with like bringing what he's imagined to life, and how enthusiastic he is for that.
Hope.
Yeah, just inspired for goodness.
It's 3 words.
Oh, if I say it quick, inspired for goodness. If I say it like that, inspired for goodness. One word.
Energy.